Good morning. This is Laura with Potpourri of Life, and I am grateful for today. And I want to ask you a question. Excuse me. Have you ever woken up and you got plenty of rest, you feel good getting up, but things just didn't go well for you? That's been my morning. It's nothing horrible, nothing bad. It's just that little things were just kind of not together, not right. So I got up, I came outside. That usually brings me out of this whatever slump. And, but the chicks were really loud in the kitchen. And a lot of this is, I know that it's like my chronic Lyme symptoms. This can happen. I can get irritable quickly. The light is bothering me. The noises are bothering me. All these things. And you wouldn't think that they would, because I can listen to wind chimes. I can listen to that wildlife. I find those to be very peaceful and enjoyable. My house is quiet. So what is going on? And maybe part of it is just, it's one of those days I have to focus on the joy that I can find through what God provides me. So my husband went off to his hygienist appointment. No, it was fine. I gave him what I want. He wanted to stop at the grocery store, and he asked me if I need anything, so I told him the item I needed. Nothing bad there. That's a typical morning relationship, right? And it's just like, what is going on? And so I'm trying to figure out, what is this? And so I put on my t-shirt that says, always stay humble and kind. So I'm trying to stay humble. I'm trying to stay calm, kind. Now I don't see the writing on my shirt, but I picked it out of the drawer. It's a very hot day, although not too hot yet, but if I stand in the sun, it's pretty hot. 73 inside, 73 outside at the start of my day. That's not a bad thing either. So what is wrong? I don't know. I do know that the school season is ending, so the kids that are driving by, their cars are loud because, some of the new drivers are out there making all kinds of noise. The town is doing stuff at the park. And when I got up later than I normally do. Normally I'm up at 4:30, 5:30, and I have time to adapt to the world before I get going. So maybe that's it. But I wanted to share this because I think a lot of us go through this. It's not just, that I have chronic Lyme. I also have chronic fatigue, and I deal with some other things that go along with Lyme. But I also deal with anxiety, and I also deal with depression can come in. I dealt with it horribly during the last 2 years, but I've been doing really great. So one day out of the past 2 to 3 months now, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then I realized, you know what? We're all going to have off days. There is nothing wrong with having an off day. What's wrong is if when we get those off days, we allow them to rule our day. Have I done it before? Yeah. But I've been working really hard at acknowledging when I get up that things might not be right. And, I got 8 hours sleep. I ate well yesterday. I hadn't had breakfast, hadn't got my cup of coffee or tea. It was just... So I've got my coffee. And, things are moving along. We got the little chicks. We got them out of the kitchen. Because even their little noise was irritating. And the reason that they're getting louder is because they're getting bigger. And we've brought them out to their temporary chicken run, which is about 3 times the size of their little nesting box that we have for them right now. And you see that, hear that noise in the back? That's dumpsters being put places. It's annoying me. And my husband is working on some stuff for the chicken coop, so if he makes noises, you'll hear those in the background. That's not bothering me. But life has a way of saying, this is happening. So how do we cope with that? I just sit back, come outside and just be quiet. Even with all the noises around me, I had to be quiet. And I had to go, I went into the garden, I watered my lettuces because I want lettuce for lunch today. So if I let the heat get to them, they just kind of they start looking how I feel. And we don't want that for lunch. They have to be watered 2 or 3 times a day during the heat. But I started looking at all the beauty that surrounds me. And yeah, I've worked hard for what we have in our yard. But why does this happen? When you're doing all that you can, you find humor in everything. Sometimes I find humor in the wrong things, but I wanted to just share that sometimes life is going to drag us down and we don't always understand. Sometimes there will be things that happen, and there are some things that are happening in my life that are discouraging, and one is I do. I have to make a decision on something that I struggle with, and I've been struggling with for 10, 12 years. That's not the Lyme disease. And it's not something that I talk about publicly. It's a health issue, and fabulous doctor and nurse team that are very supportive. And yesterday I had to deal with some stuff, and I'm not ready to make some decisions. Now there's a new potential aid for this. And it's really hard, so maybe I went to bed with those on my mind, and that could very well be because later, after my husband went to his hygienist appointment, those things flooded my mind. But I've decided, you know what? I'm going to take that and put that aside, because obviously I can't deal with that today. I don't have appointments, I don't have phone calls, I don't have any of that to deal with today. So I don't have to, so I can put that aside. And that's the thing that I have to do in order to deal with this kind of stuff. Am I unhappy? No, I actually feel very joyful. But that kind of stuff makes me sad. And so I made sure I got my coffee. I made sure, and I put molasses in my coffee, and I'm going to do another video on the benefits of molasses. I've got my notes all together so I can share a little bit more in detail as to why I consume molasses in my coffee. And my husband doesn't like it, but he takes 1 tablespoon in his first cup, so he doesn't have to. I don't force him. And that's the nice thing about our relationship, is that we both are dealing with a little stress today, and yet we're being so kind to one another. And part of it is this chicken coop. Yesterday he was talking about the size of the coop, and I'm like, wait a minute, how big are you going to make this coop? By the way you're talking, these chickens are going to have a huge room compared to what I have. I was getting jealous last night. I was getting a little ticked off. Yeah, and so we had a conversation. Yeah, I got upset, but I calmed down, and we had this conversation, a healthy conversation, mind you. And then I said, you know what, let's go over to Sarah's, because our neighbors have chickens too, and she has a coop, and she was gifted with one when she got the chickens. So she feels very blessed for that, and that is a gift. But we're making ours, and she told us about a neighbor who built theirs, and she goes, it's like a Taj Mahal. And I told her, I said, by the time David gets done building ours, it'll be a Taj Mahal, because he wants it bigger than our bedroom. That's not happening. So this morning he's working on that, and so there's a lot of things that go on in our lives that contribute We got a lot of things flooding our brains. So we talked about that last night, and we got to a point, okay, what can work? After checking out her coop, we took from it what we wanted, what we liked about hers, some of the things that she suggested that worked for her. I've listened to a few friends that I have online that just said, this is what we did. And you know what? And that's what community is. And I think that's what gives me joy, is that we might not have a lot of close friends that are next door to us. Yes, Sarah's a neighbor, but I have other friends that one is an hour away and another is in a couple states away. But we can be an encouragement to one another. So how am I going to cope? I don't know. I was going to do some baking. I had some things that I wanted. I wanted to bake bread this morning. I wanted to do some, what are some of the other things? Oh, I was going to make a spider. Sorry about that. A spider decided to visit. I'm fine with spiders, but not in my face. You know, I was going to make the ghee. I was going to make the butter, and I had all these plans, and then the sun is beating in. And even though my kitchen I try to keep dark, I think it's easier to show you what I'm doing if there's a little bit of light. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. So, how am I coping with this? I don't know. I'm hoping that by the time I get done with this, because being out here in the gazebo is kind of nice, because I look around, I see my husband working really hard. He's already taken a break and came over here, and he's sitting down. And the one thing that he and I share is we both do have anxiety, more so when we're trying to do stuff for one another. Well, he has it more so when he's trying to do things for me than, because I know when he wants something from me, I know what he wants and I just go to it. Whereas when I describe and draw out pictures and draw out a plan, he still sees things differently than I do. And I think that's the difference between men and women. And for those who think that's wrong to say, I'm sorry, this is just the way I feel. Men think differently than women, and if you don't agree with that, you are entitled to that thought. But I just know this is a fact. I grew up with brothers, trust me. The best thing about having brothers, though, and I had quite a few. I had my 3 brothers that grew up in the house. I had 3 stepbrothers that we saw every weekend or every other weekend. Then I had my dad married a few times, so I had stepbrothers and stepsisters that I saw here and there. And then later on, my mom and my stepfather had 2 more children, one being another brother, and then a sister. You'd think I would have been excited by then. I was just like, I was waiting for another brother. But the best part, my sister was kind of young to build a relationship with because I was moving out soon thereafter. And, but what I learned about being with my brothers is I learned their language. They speak a different language. Men are a matter of fact, and women are emotional, and women are, yeah, I have my emotions, but I try to bring it back and try to control it. I'm not always good, but I try. And so I tend to speak better. I understand where his frustration is coming from, because men don't understand women when we get this way. But I've learned, being married to my husband for as long as we've been married and together, is that sometimes we can get upset. But the best part about getting upset with one another is when we realize it's happening, we say, time out, I need to walk away. And so we both do. We kind of like take a break, think about our part, and then we come back and we have that conversation. Now, has it always been this way? No, we've worked on it. Sometimes we go for a drive, not 5 minutes away. We go for a drive. I'll be back. But I don't need to drive away from him because I like being around him. And I think he likes being around me. He seems to keep coming back. But like when he came over this morning, he was going through, and I could tell he wanted to kind of get what I wanted. And he's over there right now thinking, doing this thing, because he wants to make sure. He's a perfectionist. Surprisingly, we get along pretty good. We're both type A's. We're both perfectionists. We're both hard workers. We both have some anxiety that are triggered by different things. We both have a joy for nature. We both enjoy being out in nature. We both love the gardens. Him not so much. He just likes the results, but he will work hard with me. We will do things for one another because we take joy in doing things for one another. But that doesn't mean we always agree and see things eye to eye. Not at all. But we are there for each other during the hard times. That being said, I always go on a tangent when I don't have anything written out as to the goal. I just know that I'm dealing with this massive weight that as I talk, I'm starting to think, I think I understand why. But he came over and I said, "What's up, hon?" And he says, "How tall do you want this?" and all this. And I looked at him, I said, "You really don't want me to be upset by the results, do you?" And he goes, "No." Probably because of that conversation. And because he knows I have a goal. I want to be able to get in to clean their coop easily. And I don't want to come out with chicken stuff all over me. I'll take their eggs, but I don't want that other stuff that they produce. So it's easier to clean it if I have physical space to open the door and get in there and clean, and then they can go into their run while I clean it. See, I have a plan. And I'm sure chicken owners out there are laughing because, no, that might not work, Laura, but you dream big. And I will dream big because that's how I operate. I mean, think about my garden. I had big dreams for our garden, and I still do. I'm working hard at this. I had never intended on having so many tomato plants, but God did. It seems like I have tomatoes popping up everywhere. Yet my potatoes, I harvested the first batch yesterday, and I was so excited because all the greens were out there. They started producing flowers at the end, which is a sign that, hey, it's time to harvest your potatoes. So I did, and we got 6. Huge. There was the size of my palm, actually bigger than the size of my palm. I know we have small hands, but they were still like a little bit bigger than David's hands. And so I went to make mashed potatoes last night because I didn't want to bake. I just wanted something simple. And so I made that with another dish, and that was just simple. And neither of us liked the taste of the potatoes. So I was disheartened. I still have sweet potatoes, and I have fingerlings that are coming along, and I have some red potatoes. The red potatoes haven't started producing leaves, so I'm not sure what's going on there. So sweet potatoes, fingerlings, and red potatoes. Oh, I already said that. I think that's it. So I was disappointed, and I said, okay, that's compost food. The chickens, I'm not ready to give that to the chickens. It just didn't taste right. So I got discouraged there. Not the end of the world, because I got tomatoes popping up everywhere. And my husband thinks I'm nuts because I'm one of those people that when I see food growing naturally, I'm going to make sure it gets the nourishment, the space, and everything it needs. And I don't know if you can see. Okay, so this second shelf here, that's all tomatoes. This one has marigolds and tomatoes growing. The top has my onions and some other stuff, just a few of them. But that's just one tray of tomatoes. On my working table, I have about 3 trays of 10. I have another tray of 10 in the greenhouse. So we're talking 30, 40, 50 tomatoes. I've got 15. I've already got 20 to 25 already planted. Now you might be asking me, what are you going to do with all those tomatoes? Because if you're not, my husband has. He says, what are you going to do? I said, I think God wants us to have salsa this year. He goes, what's he want me to eat? Because David is not a salsa person, but my daughters are. So I will share this with them. See, talking to you is getting me out of that slump. But I can make tomato sauce. I can make diced tomatoes because I do a lot of stir fries. So I'm trying to tell him that this can be a good thing. But you know what? Maybe this is going to be something that I can sell or barter with too. I don't know. But I know I'll be gifting it with my families and stuff like that. But that being said, the garden brings me joy. I have no idea what's going to come out of this other than we should get a lot of tomatoes. But the potato harvest, the first one, didn't go as good. So is God giving me these extra tomatoes to encourage me or to have backup? That's what I keep telling my husband. It's backup. So the strawberries, they're doing okay. Not as well as I'd like. And that's okay. So maybe they're coming at the end of their life cycle of producing fruit, because sometimes that happens. But to me, it's too late to go and get new plants and try to do something new. So once in another week or two, I'm going to clean it out to some degree, and I will plant some of these tomatoes out in that garden, although it's a little on the shady side because we have a maple tree that has produced a beautiful canopy over our yard. And it's very cool, which is the best part about our home. It might be small, and we have areas where it's really, really warm. So when I get cold, I go there. And when I get too hot, I get into the shade. And in the house, we just work around because there's a lot of sun beating on the house. But we manage. So I guess by sharing that in life, we all experience things that bring us down. And as I thought about it this morning, discouraged that I can't do what I intended to do first thing this morning, partly because I didn't get up at 4:30. I got up at 6:30. That's 2 hours later than I generally get up. So that put me behind that schedule of being productive. Now, is that a bad thing? No, because I believe that if I'm to rest, I need to rest. If I'm tired and I need to nap, if I start doing that bobblehead thing where I go and I take a nap because I'm useless then. But I want you to be encouraged that even when we have a bad day, or we wake up and we can't figure out why can't we get out of our way on a gorgeous day, nothing's going wrong, we have food in our home, we have gas in our tanks, that's a miracle. Oh goodness. And my husband got to have his teeth cleaned. We have to look at the things to be grateful for. And so I hope that if you woke up with a bad day, I hope that if you don't have children, maybe you have chicks that can drive you nuts, but bring them outside and they get all happy. It makes you happy. That was my thing today. And if that doesn't make you happy, if you don't have that, if you have a pet, do they come and cuddle you? I got a note from my daughter right before I started this. And she goes, Mom, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I was going to send you this. She wants to help me on these videos because she knows that I have no idea on how to do the cut, paste, and all that kind of stuff. So she's going to send me some links that will help give me some insight. Right now, the only thing I can video on is the Chrome. And that doesn't allow me to go back and forth. And I don't know how to edit. I can be a very intelligent person, but there's some things I just don't know, and I have to work on learning. My focus has been learning more and more about herbs and essential oils and how all that. That's where my focus in life is. That's where my passion has been for a number of years. So to come back to have to work on technology, I'm just like, because everything has changed. When I first started my business, I was doing my own website and all this, and I have no drive to do that anymore. It's a lot of work, and since I've retired from that portion of my business, I don't feel driven. But she wants to help me because she likes what I'm presenting to others, and she hopes that it'll be inspiring. So, what did I get accomplished today? I got up, I got a load in the washer, because I didn't want to put in the dryer and there's no pollen blowing around. That's a good thing. So 2 things. No pollen, the wash is done, and I washed my husband's clothes, and he brought it up for me because of the pain I'm having in my arm. I think I asked him when he got home, when you get a chance, could you bring it up so I could hang it? And after I got done watering the plants, I looked out and he had the basket out there for me. I didn't ask him to hang it because I knew he wanted to work on things. If he had nothing to do, he would have hung that stuff. And so I told him, I said, I hope you don't mind that I washed your work clothes, because he washes his own work clothes because he doesn't want me to worry about. There's some things that get on his clothes that he doesn't want in my laundry, but I didn't notice anything. He goes, no. He goes, he appreciated it. So that's another thing. He thanked me for that. He brought that up. My plants look amazing. The wildlife is beautiful. Sure, the noises out in the world kind of irritated me the first thing this morning. I wasn't happy that I woke up late. But and I knew that we had this other thing with the chicken coop, but I didn't know the dynamics of all that was going on in my brain about the chicken coop, about the health issue that I have to decide. I don't have to decide today, but it is something that I know that will be discussed in a couple of months at an appointment. And something that needs to be known by all of us is that you don't have to make that decision today. If you're having a bad day and your stress levels are way up here, which is what I told my husband when he came over and he asked something, I said, this is my stress level, just like that. And I said, and I want it brought down right here. And so I was looking at him, I said, your stress level about this chicken coop is way up here, isn't it? He goes, yes. So considering that both of our stress levels are extremely high, we had a conversation and our stress levels have come down because we're working together. And he felt bad that he was making noise in the background. I said, no. I said, the video I'm doing right now, people will understand. We have to live our lives. And the job he's doing is outside. I didn't want to do my videos inside today because it's just so beautiful out. And I just like this. And so there's a lot to be thankful for. I could make a huge list of all the things that I'm thankful for, but I already have a list of videos that I want to bring up for you guys. And I'm thankful that I have those ideas. And I'm also very thankful for a husband that adores me, that he supports me. That does not mean we always see eye to eye. But what's important is we have a desire to work together to come to a resolution. I mean, when we set our vows for better or worse, sickness and in health, yeah, we've gone through all of it. He's been there for my health. I've been there for his health. We've been there for one another. But we're still very independent people, yet we work together. We're both hardworking. And I already shared all that. That is a gift that we are fortunate with, that not all people are. So even if you don't have that, look at the people that encourage you, that lift you up. And if you're having a bad day, even if you can't see them, go to their Facebook page or however you communicate with them in today's world. Just check in. sometimes I look across at the park and just enjoy the kids. And kids have been the teachers have been bringing them to the park because the high school's just down the street, maybe, I don't even think it's a half a mile. So they've been, no, what kid really studies the last week of school? I know we didn't. We're too busy, anxious to get out into the beautiful weather. So sometimes we look out and we see that, or teachers come together and bring kids together to play games. And so that's enjoyable too. Because you know what's happening? Regardless of all the distractions of the world, regardless of our world, our own personal situations that can bring us down, life is happening. Good things are happening. Doesn't mean we're going to have challenges. It just means life is happening. So I think I've been a little repetitive, but I am very grateful. So like my shirt says, sorry, I have to look at this because I'm not going to look down and read my shirt. So always stay humble and be kind. It can actually calm our spirits and focus on where we are in life. So I know I rambled. Sometimes I have to do that. Forgive me if it bothered you, but I'm sure if you felt you were already gone if that's the case. But I do wish that your day is beautiful and that you encounter some awesome stuff. God bless and have a great day.